Breaking records, that's what she does. Kristina Knott notched a record-breaking 11.27 seconds in the women's 100-meter dash, smashing Lydia De Vega's 33-year-old Philippine record of 11.28 seconds in the same event. How did she do it? Kristina now joins us on ANC. Now we have Kristina Knott on ANC. It is an honor for you to be here and breaking that Philippine record in the women's 100-meter dash. So Kristina, thank you so much. Good morning. And how are you? Take us through that event. How did you prepare for the Drake Blue Oval Showcase?
So I didn't know I was going to run. I found out that I was going to run like maybe 2 weeks. Like I kind of knew about it the month of, but it was like up in the air. So how I've been training throughout COVID was because of COVID, a lot of my competitions have gotten canceled. So how my coach like designed training was we still train as if we're like going to compete, but instead of competitions on the weekend, we'll do like a time trial. So I kind of went into the race with that mindset. Like, okay, granted it's a race, but it's nothing new. Like I've been in race mode this whole pandemic. So it's funny, I wasn't even supposed to run the 100. I was supposed to do the 200. So
But what happened? Why did you run the 100 instead?
So the person who put on the meet or whatever, they said that it was just like a lack of communication. That's how I would put it. But yeah, so I was initially supposed to be in the 100 and the 200, but I guess the spots filled for the 200, and they said like, okay, you only have 100. So I was like, fine.
Well, does that happen? Does that happen? These types of situations, you said miscommunication. You prepare for an event, and then suddenly you do this event. What does that feel like? What goes through your mind? What does go through an athlete's mind when that happens?
It's happened. It hasn't happened to me. This was the first time it's happened, but I know like my teammate, Eric, he told me that it happened to him. So I wasn't like, oh my gosh about it. But I mean, I still got a competition and that's all that mattered. So I just wanted to go out there and compete.
What was it like, 11.27, when you notched that time? What was the first thing that went through your mind?
The first thing that went through my mind was I thought I got first. I don't know if you guys seen the race, but it was like neck and neck. And it's kind of hard because like the way they designed the meet was every other lane. So you're not next to people. So you kind of don't really know where people are at until like you see them like coming or whatever. So yeah, I thought I crossed the tape first. And then they said Kayla White's name. I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw that she went, like when I thought I got first, and I was like, oh my gosh, I ran 11.1. But I was like, oh, second place ran pretty fast. She ran 11.2. But I was an 11.2 girl, and I wasn't mad. It didn't. I was shocked about the time because it didn't feel like that, and I wasn't expecting that. So I was excited.
What is it like? Take us through that moment, at least when you were there, or you found out that hey, you broke a record.
Well, the guy said it, like the announcer who was like announcing the race, he said it. And I was like, I didn't know he was talking about me. And then he said Philippines. And I was like, oh snap, I did a national record. But I was like, what did I run? I didn't know the time. And then they put the time up. And I was like, oh my gosh, I ran 11.27. So.
But what is that like as an athlete? Of course, when we talk about track and field, when we talk about, of course, running events in particular, it's all about being the fastest. It's all about breaking records. But what does it take? What do you go through to get better every day?
Well, for me, it's a lot of throwing up, a lot of running fast I practice. But I would say a lot of dedication. Like you have to go into each practice as if you're getting ready to get on the line and get in the blocks. You know, you can't just turn that on meet day. You have to start training your mindset in practice. So it's like second nature when you're in the blocks during competition.
Now, I read in an article, Kristina, national team head coach for the Philippines, Coach Jojo Posada, said in 2019, as it was all part of the SEA Games, that he said that Kristina Knott is on track to break all of Lydia De Vega's records, and you broke Lydia De Vega's record of 11.28. So did you believe that at first when he said that? And was it going to be a reality? What were the things that you did from then and now?
I didn't even know Coach Jojo said that. It's funny. So I said that, I think I was in like Iligan or something like that. And I did a competition there, and it was a national open. And I remember saying that, like, just give me a little bit more competitions and then I'll break it. I thought I was going to break it within that year. And then after I said it, and I was kind of like not running how I wanted to. And I was like, man, maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe I'm like in over my head. So it's nice to see that like what I manifested and what I said is like actually like blooming. So.
But you know, well, at least from 2019 and the whole COVID blew up, of course, of this year, early this year. Can you take us through that whole journey of training, getting better in the time of COVID? It's a different situation in Miami. We just hear it from all over the news in Florida, what's happening, but take us through from a first-hand perspective.
So in March, I was in Texas and I was training for 2 competitions there. So I was going to do 2 competitions there and then fly to Florida to do 1 competition there before going overseas. So towards the end of March, that's when things started shutting down. I didn't know like how crazy it was going to be. So I went back to Florida. And we thought, like me and my coach thought it was just going to like be something minor, like, you know, a couple weeks of training by myself. And then like, I'll go back to Texas and train and eventually do those competitions. But then we're starting to get phone calls that like competitions are getting canceled left and right. And I'm just like, man, so like, what are we going to do? Facilities are closing, gyms are closing. So I'm training on grass. Still to this day, I'm still training on grass. I'm probably getting on a track maybe once a week, twice on a good week. But yeah, I think the biggest thing and the biggest like kind of blow to the scheduling was the cancellation of the competitions. Because I was ready to run fast and I was ready to go. Just based on how my training was in Texas. So when all that, I'm like, man, we did all this work for nothing. When I say I was throwing up, it was a lot of throw up.
It's different. It's different when you adjust again. You said that you were training now on grass. And what's the main difference when you go on the track and then and when you train on grass? It's like going back to basics.
Yeah. But that's the thing, like in grass, like I can still spike up. It's not like I'm on like concrete or sidewalk course. Like I don't have that like fast feeling because I can't spike up, but in grass I can still spike up. I know the Jamaicans, that's how they used to train. So I'm training like the fast people.
Do you think, Kristina, that how do you think you are still getting better, even if under different circumstances? Do you think that you are getting better?
Yeah, that 11:27 just didn't come from not getting better. I would say it's the balance of having a support system around me rather than like when I'm training, it's like I'm kind of just like focused on training. So like my mindset is kind of like not like divided, but it's like, okay, when I'm not doing track, it's like, okay, I have like another focus to like be on, like with family and with friends and stuff like that. So it's just the balance helps, I guess.
What about the health? How you take care of your health? How is the situation over there? Here in the Philippines, I'm sure you're aware of strictly wearing masks, even the face shields, distancing. How is it like over there where you are right now?
Well, the good thing about track is a lot of people don't do this. Well, let me not say a lot of people don't do the sport, but normally when I train, no one's there, you know, because I either train like early, well, I only train early in the morning. So everyone's probably like sleeping or doing their own thing. But yeah, so the social distancing part is not so much of a nag, but when I'm in the gym, that's where it's like, oh my gosh, because like going from station to station, I have to have a mask on. and it's hard to breathe in it. I don't care what nobody says, it's hard to breathe in it.
Well, of course, for pro athletes, it's much different because you exert a lot of effort, and it's different. It's different for pro athletes to be wearing masks and at the same time go all out and burst. Kristina, I want to ask about your experience with SEA Games 2019. You actually set the record for the 200-meter dash at 23:01. And at the same time, how was that whole experience? Tell us about your desire to represent the country and play for the Philippines.
So the desire came about in college. So I remember sitting in the cafeteria with some of my teammates in Arkansas, and we were watching the 2016 Olympics, and they were saying like, oh, they knew so and so from like different countries, and I'm like, how do you know them? And you guys are American. And then my teammates explained like, oh, they got to represent like their country, whether their parents are from there or if they're from there. I'm like, man, like that would be so cool to like represent the Philippines one day. And my motivation was to, it gave me an opportunity to learn that side of my culture, because I'm American. I didn't really grow up knowing like my Filipino side. So I just thought of it like, man, that would be a cool way to learn that side. So that was just a thought. And then 2016, or when I transferred to Miami, my coach knew the head coach of the Philippines at the time, and he connected me. My roommate knew Eric Cray, so she gave me his number. And then I contacted Eric. He told me just the paperwork and stuff that I had to like get done, and I eventually got in contact with Dr. Wico, and here I am.
What is the feeling of a Filipino American who's practically raised there, coming back, maybe to represent your culture? Of course, it's a different feeling, Kristina, right?
Yeah.
And you said that was just an idea, but what was it actually like when you actually represented the Philippines?
I don't know. It's like a surreal feeling. Like I still like, I don't have the words to put it, but it's an honor. Like I'm super grateful for this experience. It's so funny, like thinking that like the work, because the paperwork was a lot, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to like fly to DC, do all this, and it's like all this, but it's just so nice to like actually be living it out, especially like all the work and the thoughts of like, oh, this is too much work, and just to see
but it was
like,
all worth it, right? All worth
yes,
it.
for sure. Yeah. Yes.
I'm curious, Kristina, of course, when we talk of the title holder, well, technically you hold it now, Asia's fastest woman, Lydia De Vega. Have you had any conversation with her during your lifetime? What was that like?
So I actually met her in 2019. So I had a track meet in Singapore, and it was a brief encounter. It was like, hey, how you doing? My name is Kristina. It was kind of like a moment to just put a face to each other's names. But yeah, she was cool.
All right. So lastly, Kristina, who or what keeps you motivated? What is next for you?
Who keeps me motivated? I would say what keeps me motivated is to become an Olympian. That's like my motivation. That's my tunnel vision. That's my main focus for this year and for next year.
Any future tournaments that you're gonna compete at?
As of now, no.
Hopefully it doesn't get canceled.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't get canceled. I mean, I feel like people, like we're starting to like adjust, just seeing like sports coming back. But we'll see. Major events, I don't know. Like, I don't even know what the Olympics is going to look like. Like, is there going to be a crowd? Or is there not going to be a crowd? If there's not going to be a crowd, I'm going to be kind of disappointed, because I want it. Like, we feed off of that as athletes, like that cheer. And it's like, man, like, another time trial.
Well, I hope things get better. I hope you stay safe and stay healthy, and of course for sports to come back. All right, so there you have it. Kristina Knott, thank you so much for joining us here in ANC.
Thank you.
So much.